For God's sakes, please vote on Tuesday. It's the Going Off Podcast with Rap Critic and Muse. Just wanted to do my part, you know what I'm saying, using my voice to make sure you do your civic duty and all that good American shit, you know.
There are plenty of people out there who, for whatever reason, legally or otherwise, either they can't get to the polling station, or in my very specific example, my polling place was closed, so I can't vote until Election Day. I could not take part in early voting because of a law they passed back in June, limiting the number of polling places.
We like to think of, like, you know, what's going on in the entire country, but honestly, the most important thing is what's going on in your neighborhood, because all these stories are just, you know, stories of people's neighborhoods, right?
I know in the past few months we've been shying away from political conversations, but it's the midterms, so it's unavoidable, so we're going to be talking about it, at least for this week. In the show this week, we have an interview with Ryan McKinley of Casa Shelters, who's going to be talking to us a little bit about the services they provide for the trans people in the community. And we've got 2 album reviews this week, one new album and one Patreon-requested album, so stay tuned. Going Off Podcast, Rap Critic and Muse. This week, we're joined by our very special guest, Ryan McKinley of Casa Shelters out in D.C. I wish we'd be bringing you on for a bit more of a uplifting topic, but the reason we wanted to reach out, last week, the New York Times story broke about the possible memo that was going out against pretty much the transgender community at large. It hasn't really been talked about too much since the memo was released, which is, it's kind of a double-edged sword. In one hand, it's like, well, it's cool that people aren't worried about it as much, but on the other hand, I worry that it's kind of going away and people are going to forget about it. We wanted to reach out and have someone on the show who had a connection as soon as I had heard what Casa does out in DC. It's incredible. I just want to talk to you this week about how this memo in particular, I guess, hit the community specifically.
First of all, thanks for having me on the show. We're already facing a lot of controversy for here being trans from not from my family, it's mostly from the community also. And this administration does not make it any better. First, it was the rescinding of Title IX, regarding trans kids in schools, then the military ban, that we're still fighting that today, and also right now, just the erasure of trans people. I recommend the people actually get their birth certificates changed as quickly as possible.
I remember the trans military ban issue from, I think it was like a year or so ago. And it's funny how, I guess, like, my brain just thought that was over. That's kind of what they rely on, right? Like, oh yeah, people are talking a big thing about this now, but we're just gonna wait until it dies down, some other thing gets bigger, and then we're just gonna keep on, you know, doing the BS that we're doing, right? Can we break down why this in particular is BS? It seems to be something that doesn't matter that much. Not trans people, but, like, the people that are trying to put this forth. Like, in what way is a straight Christian person's life made better by Title IX changing words to make sure that it means man and woman? Like, it's not like, you know, these Christians were like, oh no, man, wow, we just couldn't join the military or do any of this stuff until they specifically say that it has to be a man or a woman that does it. You know, so, like, can you break down, like, what are they trying to do that's beyond just, oh no, we're just trying to define these words, you know? What's going on behind there?
I would say they're trying to actually deny us trans people our basic human rights. That's the way I see it. A bill that President Obama passed when he was in office, this administration is rescinding it for us trans people.
It feels like to me, while I would not at all count out the possibility of it coming from a place of hatred, because there's been plenty from the administration that would fall into that category, I would also kind of, on the surface level, it just seems like laziness.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Yeah, like laziness / ignorance. It's just like that. Like, I think something like this is really relying on the assumption of, well, when you're a kid, you're told that there's boy and there's girl. And, you know, like, yeah, you learn that when you're younger because, you know, teachers don't have time to really tell you everything, right? And so by the time you get to an adult, a lot of these people are just like, oh, it's just these two things, right? That's how it was, right? Why the hell are you telling me I have to do all these different things now? And so it's easy for them to go along with this sort of stuff, right?
When there's less paperwork involved, there's less questions they have to ask. This would, in turn, pretty much say that any non-binary people, no, you fall into one bracket or another. anyone that's gender fluid, it's like, no, you got to be one or the other. So it really is just like, as far as like a broad scope, it's trying to simplify something that if people just actually took the time and addressed a lot sooner, they wouldn't be in such a mad scramble to try to figure out now. But what I wanted to ask specifically too, what I was reading up on with Casa Ruby is how it was started for not only queer people, trans people, also immigrants. About what would you say the like ratio for like people that come through the doors are people who seeking a safe space from like queer discrimination and people who are immigrants just trying to kind of find a safe haven?
I would say the ratio is probably 3-2. Most of the people that we have are coming from El Salvador, any Latin American countries. We help them actually find housing, political asylum, or whatever the case may be, because they're coming from a country where you can get actually murdered by the government for being particularly a trans woman. You get a lot of trans women come from El Salvador, Honduras, Mexico, in these Central American countries, even South America, because they actually seeking political asylum for they want to be the authentic selves, and they don't have any type of support down in any country where they're from. Actually, I know Ruby personally has brought people from El Salvador back to Washington, D.C., to actually help them with their transition. She helped them with her own money for them to escape violence, because back in the day, she escaped El Salvador when she first started her transition. And she came here to Washington, D.C., so she sees the people who actually come from those Latin American countries, see the struggle they have and risk being murdered.
I'm just curious, so how exactly do people, like, do you hear from these people how they hear about the shelter? Because, I mean, I'm not in the area myself, but I don't even know of anything like that in my area. So I just like, is this a word of mouth thing? That word gets to these people that, hey, there's actually like a refuge here that you don't have to worry about the discrimination, like a really cool down to earth place that isn't only going to supply you with a place to stay, but also help you in ways of getting back on your feet, just kind of protecting you from what otherwise would be like discrimination or worse.
I know Ruby personally goes down there, I guess, like once a year, and like, I guess she scopes out the actual sex workers who's actually transgender, and she brings it back to Washington, D.C. So that's one of the main things we actually do with our Latin American services we have at Casa Ruby, and we reach out to maybe trans women living in the South, particularly Florida. This past year, 5 trans women was murdered in the state of Florida, Black trans women. So we actually rescue trans women from the South to bring them back up here to Washington, D.C. also.
I'm extremely grateful and jealous in a way that we don't have something similar in North Carolina. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Did the website say that there were multiple locations, or is it just the one?
No, actually, we have 3 locations here in Washington, D.C., and we have another location in Adelphi, Maryland. That's the Hyattsville, Maryland area. We have another location out there, so it's actually 4 total.
When someone comes through the doors, just on a typical individual basis, what does someone receive when they come through the door?
If they want to stay overnight, they have to actually be there by 4:30, and then we offer them a bed. That's at the main location. And ask them like personal questions and what are their goals or plans. First of all, we ask them, are they comfortable with them telling them that they're actually transgender or non-binary? Go to like their background. So it's actually, you go to a doctor, like a therapist, and we ask them how long you want to stay.
I was going to ask specifically too, because the holidays are coming up, and the holidays can be a very depressing time for people who are homeless in general, not even specifically queer people. Is there anything specific that y'all do around the holidays to kind of, I guess, supplement what these people would be missing out on as far as like a family holiday season?
We actually have a Thanksgiving dinner at a major location for Christmas, and if people celebrate Christmas, we have like a holiday party. We actually buy the residents Christmas gifts, so we always make them want to feel like they're at home.
What did the donations help with? I imagine supplies and the boarding, but is there anything particular that y'all are hurting for or that you're hoping the donations will help with?
Well, we also, for the donations, we always want to make sure that all our residents are completely fed, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So most of the donations actually go to actually getting food for the trans people actually living in one of our shelters or group homes.
Is there anything directly that the people at home can do about this Title IX nonsense in the first place? Like, what can people do directly?
Well, they actually can reach out to actually any LGBT, particularly transgender groups in their city if they have one. Meet with them, ask them how do they feel about being trans. Just like reach out, be a ear, have a shoulder for them to actually lean on. You say you live in North Carolina. What part of North Carolina do you live?
It's near Charlotte.
In Charlotte. Okay, I know Charlotte's pretty trans friendly, but anywhere else, I don't think it's any trans friendly besides the Triangle City area.
For any marginalized group, I would say for either race, religion, nationality, anything, just hear their side of the story, because especially around here, people still don't get what it even means, to be trans or to be anything that's out of the realm of their normal. They don't understand what being asexual means, anything like that. So it all sounds foreign to them.
The reality of people living who they really are in a lot of pockets of this country and abroad are still very unaccepting. And I hate that we seem to, especially on the online discourse, we seem to only people trying to fight back against this sort of stuff. A lot of what they like to fall back on is, these are just first world, feminists or trans feminists just complaining about, they don't really have it that bad. But it's just like, no, there is underneath the fucking Caitlyn Jenners, there are people who actually don't have a place to go home to, and it's directly related to them being trans.
Is there anything pertaining to the topic or Casa Ruby specifically that you would like to add? Any general information you would like to put out there?
Yeah, we're always looking for new residents to actually come in who actually do not have a safe haven to go, especially as Thanksgiving is coming up basically this month in a few weeks. We also, if you not feel comfortable at being at your house or being in your city, you can always come to Washington, D.C. You got to reach out to Casa Ruby and we'll bring you here. We just had the AIDS conference a few months ago in Orlando, and then we're actually expanding towards the South. So that's in the new future. We going to hit Southern Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, and we'll make our way to Mississippi, Alabama. We know some trans people down there that don't have the support that they need. We actually a huge advocate for HIV and AIDS rights. So some people work at Casa Ruby, they actually have living with HIV. So we're actually educating people about safe sex and actually teaching kids about PrEP.
It's still such a dirty word around here, even with sex education, that it's still such a taboo topic that even getting that specific in now talking about queer identities is like a total no-go for these people. So it's great that they all are kind of filling in, unfortunately, where the educational system is lacking, whether by choice or by force of the state. But it's casaruby.org for anyone listening that wants to help out or donate, find out more information, see some videos and pictures of the facility. Ryan, thank you very much. I know we had an issue last week getting you on, but it would have been more timely to talk about it last week when the memo hit. But since there has been time in between and people aren't talking about it as much, I think it's good to remind people that, hey, this is still an issue. Even when people don't talk about this, like you had said before, the target has been on the queer community. Now it's just about preparation and trying to help, just having each other's backs. So it's great to know that there's a place like Casa Ruby out there that really cares for their own. So thank you very much. And if there's a way you can pass that message along to the folks, to Ruby even, we'd love that, because it's really inspiring what you got going on over there.
All right. Thank you for having me on the show.
So the first album we got on the show this week is a Patreon requested by Larry Cypher. And if you have an album that you would like to request us talk about on the Going Off podcast, it is as simple as a one-time pledge to either patreon.com/rapcritic or patreon.com/muse. And Larry requested the album Princess Superstar Is. Just is.
She exists.
She exists, all right. And you know, that isn't even really a question that's answered on the album either. Like, it's not even addressed.
In fact, if looking purely at this album cover, it does not in any way prepare you for what you're going to be getting.
What the hell is that cover? I'm so confused by all of this.
Like, it's like somebody put out their drunk white aunts, like, you know, from Minnesota. Like, she did a rap album, and as a joke, somebody put it out without telling her about it. That's what this entire album feels like. And that picture just looks like, you know, she was getting up about to grab something, and so it was like, oh, hey, you know.
Someone surprised old Princess Superstar.
Yeah.
And gave her a copy for Christmas.
Exactly.
You know, she just this month released a children's rap album.
Are you fucking serious?
No. she had it funded.
Please tell me it's a joke. Come on now.
No, it was crowdfunded, and it's an album of rap songs that you can enjoy with your kids.
After what I just heard, the proto fucking Peaches / Eminem / Insane Clown Posse.
Yeah, man.
What is this?
Well, Princess Superstar, she has a child now of her own. She's grown. This album is from 2002.
Yeah.
This album is old as shit. And you know...
No, dude, it sounds even older. I thought it was from the early 90s or something.
Whoa, I didn't think it was that old. It definitely does sound dated.
Listen to this production, man.
Yeah. Now, I'm not
Jesus.
I'm not exactly sure where Princess Superstar came from. She'd had some releases out before this album.
Yeah, I know she fucked with Cool Keith.
It feels like Cool Keith is maybe like a protege of some kind.
Yeah.
Cause he's on one or two, I forget what tracks on the album, and she mentions him a few times as well.
And I remember seeing him like back in the day. Like I remember seeing her, but I didn't know like to the extent to which she was like a thing.
Oh,
you know? Like, cause I remember seeing the music video with Cool Keith, but it looked so low budget. I was just like, wait, is this real? Are they serious?
I remembered we weren't too wild on the Cool Keith album that we reviewed some time ago. Someone chewed us out for that, by the way. Someone was...
His popularity absolutely eludes me. I don't understand. It feels like a early internet joke that he is like it feels like he's like the early Lil B. You know, people are like, no, he's like awesome. He's absolutely incredible. And I just listen to his stuff and I'm like, I mean, it's definitely weird, but I don't know, you know?
Yeah, he definitely can surprise you, sometimes maybe like with the characters, like, like I remember liking the Dr. Octagon album back in the day. Back to Princess Superstar here. I think I had an experience that you recount on the podcast every so often where, the first time I listened to it, I really rather, enjoyed myself. I thought it was, a very interesting, different, fun album to listen to. The second time I listened to it with the lyrics up, quite a different experience.
Oh my god.
Didn't quite hit me as much. Maybe when it has my undivided attention is when it's like, oh, there's absolutely nothing here.
You start off the album and it's just like, oh, you got a brand new car for some reason. And he's like, oh wow, I'm so happy. I want to start singing.
I can sing, yeah.
Yeah, and then she starts rapping, which isn't singing, but okay. She commences to like immediately just stumble over her words as she's rapping. And it's just like, oh no. Oh man, this isn't gonna be good. See, it's just like, go to Keys, catch on Keys, read a bit of song. I was like, oh no. I literally, when I was doing my, like, you know, I listened to it a couple of days ago and then listening to it over again to do like the lyric for lyric sort of thing, you know, that I like to do. And then it's just like, as soon as I just heard this flow just starting, this just lost in the beat flow, I was just like, oh, like I stopped the track and I just started laughing for like 10 seconds straight. I was just like, I can't. Oh no. You're gonna eat this album alive.
see, that's the thing. When it doesn't have your undivided attention, it sounds like she has a pretty cool flow going on. Especially on that first track, Super Fantasy. This album tricked the fuck out of me into thinking it had a lot of potential. Because Super Fantasy into Bad Babysitter are probably two of the most interesting songs on the album, except for, spoiler alert, the last one. Going into it, I was like, wow, this album has fucking personality. This is someone different. Like,
to bring attention to her whiteness is to bring attention to her awkwardness. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And it's like, she does not have I was listening to one of these songs and I was just like, this just sounds like drunk Britney Spears, but like, you didn't know that she actually, you know, was really into Kool Keith, and she just released a surprise album where she was just drunk and rapping. Like, that's what a lot of this sounds like. It's just like, oh my god, this is just awkward. This is really awkward and uncomfortable. And, oh my goodness, man. Okay, there's one song where it works. One or two songs, actually. Bad Babysitter.
Okay.
Purely because of the idea. Purely because of the, like, as I was listening to it, I was like, I could see this working on a, like, Pornhub, you know, Joanna Angel soundtrack. You know what I'm saying? Like, she missed her calling to do that shit. Because that could work. But just as it is, it's just the beats. Sometimes the beats are really fascinating. Like in, I think it was Keith and Me, where it's, you hear that little sample in the background. It sounds really nice. And it's just like, oh shit.
Yeah.
This is actually kind of working. And then you have Bad Babysitter, where it's just like her flow is just so all over the place. And it's like, I know you're doing a concept, so I want to follow you and I want to listen to what the story is. But your flow is so wonky and everywhere that I'm just like, oh my god, I don't care. I have to try too hard to keep up with where your flow is going all over the track. Cause, you know, she does that thing where it's like, she doesn't rap the verse all the way through, right? She does the very, like, you know, punching in certain lyrics here and punching in certain lyrics there, which is good when it's done by someone who knows how to do it right. For example, that hip-hop album we listened to, where it was like the whole story and it was like different people coming in. The first couple of tracks was a little wonky, but like after a while, you could sort of feel the groove of them finding where the perfect times to come in are. But this one is just like, it's just rushing to get all the words in, and it's just like, I can't enjoy the punchlines in the scenario because you're fumbling over your words all the time.
A lot of Princess Superstar's punchlines just amount to be random references. A lot of this is awkward and random are the two best words I can use to describe the album. The flow is awkward, it gets sloppy like it can't keep up. And a lot of the time it's just random shit.
That's the real personality I get from this. It's like, this is someone who's, you know, had a hard life early on, and they're like, fuck it, I'm just gonna do whatever the fuck I want to do. If I want to do this shit, I'm gonna do this shit. And it's just like really nasty, seedy, you would find this CD in the back of a fucking porn shop type of shit. Like, specifically in the early 90s. Like, just... And it's very sweaty. The album is very sweaty. I got that fucking vibe. Like, you know, it's just like sweaty and gross. Like, it's sexy, but not in a way that's appealing. It's like, this is either gross, sexy, ill, I don't like this shit at all, or, yeah, this is exactly the type of completely disgusting, depraved shit that you would be into. That is exactly what her demographic is, except plus the complete randomness that she throws in.
It reminded me of Cupcake, but not done nearly as well.
Exactly. That's exactly what I wanted to say, because
Cupcake knows what the fuck she's doing, and she's got the nasty, sexy shit on lock where, like...
Yes.
First of all, she's just a much better rapper. So when you got that ability down, then it's like, okay, now let's fumble around with, like, whatever you want to do here. Princess Superstar doesn't really seem to have that first step down. So now it's like, all right, now I want to make all these fun, like, references, but I don't know really how to even get the thought across. Like in Bad Babysitter, that song had a lot of potential because it had a really fun premise. It's a complete mixed bag. Like, the chorus is catchy, but then the lyrics get corny and the flow gets sloppy.
Like, I like the idea of what she's doing, and I hear how it could sound good, but yeah, because of her delivery just being so messed up, and then, yeah, there's lyric where you hear the kid say, I want my mommy and daddy, and she says, I want your daddy as well, but if you tell, you'll die of sickle cell, and God told me you're going straight to hell. Well, if you don't like it, I could leave, and then you'll be all alone. Believe me, that's what the creepy monsters want. You can hear the sort of, over-the-top insane clown posse, like, oh, I'm creeping this kid out, and then scaring him away, and then, I'm gonna give head to my boyfriend while we watch Small Wonder on TV, and there'll be a sticky spot because I sucked his dicky and used your mom's cucumber. Don't worry, I'll put it back in the fridge. It's like, all right. And then, are you scared? You can have it for supper, nice and crisp in the Tupperware.
It's like, all right.
Yeah, exactly. It's just, it is bizarre. It is exactly like she is a white, I don't know what her exact age is, but like just her delivery and the confidence with which she is delivered. It's a very like a white 40-something Minnesotan bizarre. And that is such a strange way to describe an album.
You know, another really weird route that song in particular took, where the whole point of the song is, she's a babysitter, she's fucking her boyfriend or whatever, but she also is like, she also wants to fuck this kid's dad. So when the dad comes home and he's like, how old are you, 19? And she goes, yeah, in like 5 years. So it's like, okay. So in the context of the song, you're supposed to be 14. But then she's like, hey, let's do this or whatever. And he's like, nah. And it's like, you know what? Thank God. For once, a rap song didn't take advantage of possible, like, pedophilia. For once, the guy's like, nah, I'm good. It's like, ooh.
And it's not treated as if, like, I'm not doing this because it's fucked up. It's just like, not right now. No, thank you.
His wife came home drunk, so he's got a lot going on, so maybe another time.
Do you remember, what's that group? I Touch Myself, the Divinals.
The Divinals, yeah.
I remember looking back at the time saying like, oh, was there controversy over this video? Seeing like if people were like talking about it. And there wasn't. There actually was not a huge, moral crusade backlash against this song. I think I know why. It's because the woman in the Divinals, she looks like a grown woman. She looks like someone who, is in charge of her sexuality for the most part. I think the moral panic for singers like Britney Spears and all them back in the day was that sense of, she's only 14. You know what I'm saying?
I never really heard that about Ariana Grande, and I know she is older, but she still looks like a child. So It's like, but you don't hear anyone ever fucking, like, for the past 2-3 albums, all of her hit singles have all been about fucking. Like, not even trying to be discreet about it. Like, they're 100% songs about fucking. People don't even acknowledge that, like, oh yeah, only a couple years ago, maybe like less than 5 years ago, she was on a Nickelodeon series. Doesn't matter.
I just find it kind of funny because I don't even think it was that long ago. Wasn't there sort of a moral panic over Miley Cyrus?
There was,
remember that.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
And again, Disney, so you'd think that would carry over to Ariana, but nah.
Are we finally past that time where we could just allow young women to, like, have a sexuality and not be scared about the fact that it exists? Have we finally reached that era where it's okay? And the weird thing was, on the Keith and Me song, which, because she sounds a lot like Kool Keith, which, because it was probably like, it's like the Wu-Tang Clan where it's like the Jizza taught RZA how to rap, and RZA taught, so people are just going to sound like each other just by virtue of that being the way it is,
Yeah.
But funny enough, she sounded way better than Keith on the Keith and Me song.
Keith's verse was garbage.
With the Speedos on, I heard you was talking about my ass. I'm coming over to my house butt naked with a condom on.
Yeah, and we needed that song twice. I don't know what it is, getting the fucking... We got a remix, but it's not a bonus track because there's a song after the remix, so it's just supposed to be in there?
Yeah.
Like, I'm not rating that song twice, I'm sorry. But I feel like we'd be repeating ourselves a lot if we're talking about how awkward and shit is. So specific critiques.
Oh no, there's one lyric. Wait, I had to get this fucking out. She says, arm in arm, naked, making spawn. At the salad bar, get the salad tongs. Deliver our new baby born. Wait, something's wrong. I gotta call my mom, tell her Keith's on the song. And then it cuts to the mom going, oh my god, that's great, honey. Cool Keith. What did you say he did again? I enjoyed that moment, but it was just so strange how we got there. Cause it was like, I want to enjoy the silly moment of, no one actually knows who Cool Keith is, but I'm still stuck on, I'm sorry, did you deliver a baby with salad tongs? That's a big fucking deal. What?
A lot of the songs here, go on way longer than they need to. Songs like Wet, 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 which is only 3.5 minutes, but feels like an eternity. Songs like Untouchables Part 2 that comes before Untouchables Part 1, and they don't really explain why that is.
Yeah.
The song is basically over at 2 minutes and 20 seconds. And instead of when she says, yeah, and here's Part 1, instead of just going to Part 1, which would have been a nice transition, there's like another 1.5 minutes of filler. I don't know why, it's just there.
Like, it just seems like a mistake.
Yeah, but in Part 1, she references Part 2, so it's like, am I just supposed to go back and forth here for fucking infinity? I don't know what the hell this is, a Mobius strip of rap. Yeah, but like you said before, the beats on some of these songs, like, what is it? Dude, the instrumental thing that's like basically an interlude, it's between Untouchables Part 1 and Welcome to My World. It's like a 2-minute interlude of just like samples and scratches. There's no rapping on it, and it's it's so fun. It's so sick. I really liked that. But then after that, because there's a string of songs I gave 2s, like all in a row. Keith and Me, Wet, 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 We Got Panache, Trouble. All those are like 2s.
Well, okay, I do want to say though, Trouble, the beat for Trouble was absolutely perfect. It's perfect for what she, cause you heard that little intro, which sounded like the beginning of either like a 70s horror movie or like a 70s action movie, and then the beat kicks in, you hear the waka, is like real funky and shit, and she's rapping over, I'm like, this actually sounds like, she sounds like the sort of, the Tina Marie of like the underground hip hop scene, what I'm saying? Yeah, I was like, okay, I'm kind of feeling it, but her raps are still like, weird and bad. Like you said, like, I got 2 legs to work, but I beg for change to drink Bacardi. Hardy Meals got the Hardy Boys heart. And oh my god, this is the part. I want you to go listen to the song. Listen to Trouble at 53 seconds in. And I want you to hear how she flows. And I had to write this down. I wrote it down. I said, it's like Bob Dylan levels of like transcendent nonsense in what she's saying. And how it's delivered, like, it's delivered so confidently and like off the cuff, but it's just like, you're not saying anything. But it's so like, she plays with the flow in a way that's like, oh yeah, I'm just rattling off and da-da-da. So she goes like, yeah, these Hardy Boys are hard, like Nancy Drew and a dog jerking off and stealing from drug dealers. And then I was like, what? Is she trying to do some like fucking Janis Joplin slam poetry all of a sudden? I was like, what is going on? Every time the beat drops out, like, it would happen a lot of this, in the song in particular. She would, like, flow really fast and go, and then, of course, every now and then in the song, the beat will drop out. But for this, specifically, the effect every time was just, like, it was just all this rambling shit, and then the beat just stops, and then I just feel like I'm just left there, like, what the fuck was I supposed to do with that information? Like, what was I supposed to be impressed? Like beat drops in rap songs usually mean something like, oh, you need to absorb that. But I was like, I'm just confused. Like, I feel like I just got just dropped in the cold.
Basically, a light switch was flicked after What Is It? Because the rest of the album I thought was actually pretty good. Welcome to My World. I Like You, or at least I Love You, or at least I Like You was more of an interesting concept for a song than the song itself, because in this song the gender roles are reversed, where the guy is saying, I don't love you, but I'll fuck you, but this dick ain't free, so you're gonna have to buy me all this shit if you even want to fuck me. That was a really cool idea. It had a nice beat to it too, with like layered samples. I thought was cool. Welcome to My World should have been the intro track. There's a really cool line in here that I thought worked better than most of the other ones. Put ants in Bagger Vance's baggy pants. Sir, come dance. It's just my circumstance. I want to watch him do the safety dance, but I do it myself, but I can't. Like, that, like, dude, do more of that shit, you know?
Yeah, it's really absurd out there fucking raps, but there's a way to make it, like, it's like, if you're gonna do shit this crazy and abstract, there needs to be something that keeps us, you know, tethered to listening to you.
It doesn't all have to make sense. Not all Eminem's fucking shit on that first or second album made sense, but it fucking flowed in a way that it didn't really matter that it didn't make sense.
Yeah, you're along for the ride. Yeah. You're not so alienated by the flow and what they're saying.
Nothing dates this album more than the song You Get Mad at Napster. I don't even know why the fucking song is called that. She only says that as like a throwaway line halfway through. I really liked her energy on that one. It was way more hype than the other ones. It's sort of a hypothetical diss track to a would-be hater aspiring rapper. It's not really targeted at anyone specific, it doesn't seem. It's just like, hey, you get mad at Napster because your shit isn't getting downloaded. But yeah, it's like, alright. Too Much Weight, though, as previously mentioned, is probably the best overall. It's got a nice beat with like trumpets going on. It had a solid message about how rap is perceived and how rappers should use their platforms for good.
That is true.
I don't know if she's the person to really be putting across that message.
But look, I mean, it's not like she's the number one rapper in the world and everybody's bending their ear to her anyway. So I think she's allowed to say that. You know, even though all of her albums so far was just, you know, lick my asshole in the middle of a garbage can in the back of a Denny's.
You putting too much weight into words and there's too much hate in the world is the overall message. I thought it was cool. The song ends halfway through, though, and just repeats for a few minutes, which, as an outro to an album, works okay. But then for some reason it does this bullshit where it fades out and then comes back in with a reprise from a song, I think that Napster song, the All My Tracks Are Hot, and that was unnecessary. That was unneeded. We blew through this album a little bit because we're strapped on time, but are there any more comments you had on this one?
Other than who writes your lyrics, which was interesting only just for the chronicling of, like, I think in a way, like, the sexism that women have to deal with.
And it's also like an autobiographical track about, like, her story so far. I liked that, yeah. It was far less silly, random shit. And actually, like, the flow was pretty good. I didn't care for the whispering chorus, though. That was kind of...
No.
Overall, I surprised myself and came out with an average score of a 3. How about you?
Whew, I gave it a 1. Nah.
Wow! Goddamn.
Yeah.
All right.
This is for a very specific type of album.
That's
like,
true.
If you want to throw this into your, you know, sick BDSM fetish playlist with Cupcake and Lil Kim and, you know, all that shit, go right ahead. But I just don't think it works anywhere outside of that.
We kind of blew through that last one because we only have a few more minutes to talk about the second album. But I don't know about you, but I have even less to say about this album than I did the fucking Princess Superstar album. Black Eyed Peas are back after...
And who cares?
the resurgence that literally no one asked for. They're back.
Oh my god.
With the first album in 8 years.
Okay, so you know how, like, people are doing the PlayStation, they're re-releasing certain games, and Nintendo re-releasing older games, and people are like, oh snap, we can finally play the classics, we can finally play that. This is the Bubsy of that, right? This is like the...
it gets thrown in the compilation, but it never gets played.
Exactly. So it as far as hip-hop is concerned, right? Because it's funny because A Tribe Called Quest is on here as well. A Tribe Called Quest... And, you know, you see all these other artists lately that have been putting out, like, new albums. And it's been like, oh, snap, so-and-so's still around. They're still kind of dope. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's been kind of happening. De La Soul a couple of years ago put out a really good album.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And then there's these guys who were always below average and everyone sort of knew it. And it's just like, well, we're riding on that nostalgia 90s train too. And it's just like,
The thing is, I've always said that Black Eyed Peas' first 2 albums before Fergie joined the fold are their best. But even then, they're still subpar. So basically what we got here is Black Eyed Peas back at the starting line. Because it's
with
better.
Better production.
Way better production, I will say that. But quality in the songs is no better than their first 2 albums. I have so little written down for these songs. I mean, for fuck's sake, the beats are clearly the star of the show. I didn't see, but if will.i.am did the production on this album, I do got to give him kudos for that. Man, when you start your album with a song called Back to Hip Hop, which it reminded me of, remember when the Beastie Boys had a song with I Wanna Say Nas on it? And it was called, Too Many Rappers, Not Enough MCs, or whatever, where it's like, hey, this is the song about critiquing the modern state. I was like, okay, it's not as bad as you're making it out to sound. And you're not bringing out anything new or original. You're not bringing anything back to life. That bullshit sample.
Actually, let's fucking do this. Let's do this, yo. So, this fucking song, the gall of Black Eyed Peas to basically be the representation of hip-hop selling out for the last fucking decade, and then for them to all of a sudden... Yeah, exactly. Be like, yo, we're gonna take it back to the SZA. Get the fuck out of here. Yeah, you're back to hip hop now that you're irrelevant. Congratulations. Oh yeah, you're really speaking up when it counts, aren't you? Just like...
I texted you because we were originally going to do 2 requests until I heard Apple the App literally 100% seriously rhymed lyrical with miracle in 2018.
Oh my God! Yo, they are so relying on that, that AstroTurf version of old school hip hop.
Oh, for fuck's sake. I was like, we gotta do this. That was the fucking selling point. I was like, well, I don't even need to hear the rest of the album. We're fucking talking about this shit.
And then when you hear I don't think a man could facepalm fucking harder before I heard that fucking back to life. I was like, oh, that's so the fucking sample you guys would use. That is so the 90s.
That's textbook Black Eyed Peas. Textbook.
Trying to get on that nostalgia train. This is the fucking Michael Bay of the nostalgic fucking... You know what I'm saying? It's just so... It doesn't care anything about this actual sound. It's not trying to enhance it. And in fact, okay, so the original sort of line goes, back to life, back to reality. You know, it's a kind of... So they chop off the rest of that melody and they just repeat it, but they don't even do it in an interesting way.
No.
It just does the back to life, and then they don't build it, they don't do anything with it. So it's just like, well, alright, well, this just sounds dead now because you're not going anywhere with it. And then, just for all the fucking cheap points, your boy Nas comes out of the gate with a trash verse at first, but the second one was kind of okay. But the way I felt about this song, it was so trying to be, look, we're like a Tribe Called Quest 2. Remember that album that they did a year and a half ago where it was like, hey, cool, we actually still really like Tribe Called Quest. Well, we're from the 90s and we kind of did a jazzy thing. You still like us too, right? Oh, no? Oh, this isn't working. Get a legendary rapper on the track. Shit, it didn't work. The first verse still is not working. Fuck it, get him back to do another verse. Like the fact that they had Nas do 2 verses on this song, to me, just kind of felt like, you guys, they knew that just the idea of, look, guys, will.i.am and Apple the App and
Taboo.
The other guy, they're back. They knew that wasn't gonna work, so they had to. They fucking had to get Nas twice on the first fucking song. You know, like any legendary group wouldn't start off the first song, hey, we're back, and just to make sure that you listen to the song, here's a bigger name that you know. No, they're gonna be like, look, it's us, we're back.
This band has always been the band about positivity. We're always gonna be rapping about uplifting shit and whatever, so it makes it that much more jarring when they try to be hard, conscious rappers, because, I remember when I heard... Ring the Alarm was the first song that came out. Ring the Alarm part 1, 2, and 3. And I heard that, and the Ring the Alarm is so fucking annoying. But I was like, wow, okay, I guess this is what they're fucking doing now. No! You know what? I just fucking remembered. Remember that single that came out back in 2015? And I think Fergie was on it, and the whole music video was them parodying classic hip-hop album covers?
Yep.
Where the hell is that? Look, They had one song on this whole album that sounded like it was trying to be a fun radio hit, and that was Wings, and it sucks. It has that cheap Tom's Diner, da-da-da-da-da-da-da.
Oh my god, once again, just the cheapest, most obvious samples.
Why would you waste the money on the sample? You know this isn't gonna get radio play. They wanted this to be a single so fucking bad. The lyrics are shit. You notice how they just changed the words enough to not have to pay royalties on the wind beneath my wings, by the way. They changed it to wind under my wings so they can get around that.
And Jesus Christ, can we talk about track 2?
Track 2.
Fucking 2!
We're tripping
Oh
over
my
ourselves.
God!
You're like, track 2, and I'm like, no, track 8! No, yeah,
Dude.
let's go back to track 2.
Oh my
you
God.
can have this, or you can do with that. You can have this, you can go with that. Fuck off.
You can say yes or you can say no. You decide. Either love it or you hate it. You either fixing it or you're breaking it. You're taking it or you're... Oh my God. Oh my God. I looked, it's like, you hear the yes or no, and then like, okay, all right, I get I'm kind of getting what's going on here.
Yeah.
And then when you start hearing the first 2 bars and you hear that it's just this, the opposite of it, and then you just glance over at what is left in the song, and it's like, 4 more minutes.
And you know exactly what the fuck it's gonna be.
Like, I know why does the song need to continue after the first minute? You get it. I get it. Things have opposites.
It
What
goes
the fuck
on
is
for
this?
so long.
And they're not making any
Like 5
point.
minutes.
Yeah, they're not making any point. There's no story that it eventually comes through. There's no message. There's no surprise. It's just contradictions.
And they have a singer on the song that sounds like Fergie, but don't worry, it's not. I don't care. Just fucking get Fergie on there. If that's what's gonna fucking sell. Obviously, this ain't fucking it. Just blowing through these other ones real quick. Get ready. I liked the chorus. That's all I have written down.
Oh no, that chorus was whack. It was like the lyrics was like, we ain't messing around. Shit's about to go down. This is for real. Oh, real epic sound of shit. And then you listen to the actual music and it's real like laid back, just chill. And I'm like, all right. Like, I mean, it kind of sounds like you're just messing around right now. I mean, this fucking, I just went to Rhymer Dictionary and just looked up the words that rhyme with dog or fish. Like this one here is like, booming bass playing with my dialogue. Zoom out so you can see my whole catalog. I was underground and I was the underdog. Now I'm feeling like a top dog. It's like, oh my God. Like, you can tell they just went to fucking Rhyming Dictionary. You know what I'm saying? Like, Jesus.
This album, and people hate when we do this, but we have to compare them. This album is the polar opposite to Princess Superstar, because when Princess Superstar is like, I'm pulling out these random ass obscure shit that doesn't really mean anything, it doesn't really go anywhere, it's like, well, I guess at least it's different. In this one, they don't fucking take any goddamn chances.
No.
And it's the most basic, like, predictable rhymes, and it doesn't go anywhere even remotely interesting.
This is mainstream rap trying to imitate underground hip-hop.
None of these songs are revisitable. Like, none of them. Forever had that cool old school beat with the James Brown sample, but that was about it. Like, honestly, lyrics-wise, these are all water from top to bottom.
Yeah, there was one song where I absolutely loved the beat. Dopeness was incredible. The bells and all the shit that they had going on in that song, absolutely incredible. The chorus was great. And then you get to the fucking verses. Dude, will.i.am's first verse goes, I'm doper than a dope boy. Make a lot of dough. Call me Dough Boy.
No.
And then you have a guest rapper on the same fucking song say, I'm doper than the dope game.
Oh.
Making more money than the dope man. It's just like, oh my God. We already did it and it wasn't even that good. And then you also repeated the fact that he just repeated the fucking dough thing. Like, Jesus fucking Christ.
But dude,
oh my God.
I know it hit a fucking nostalgia chord for you to hear that fucking will.i.am fucking dirty bit voice again.
Okay, I'm not gonna lie. I kind of liked that verse.
Oh, fuck that. No way.
And that was weird, because it kind of sounded like he was sounding like Busta Rhymes at some point, and it was kind of like switching. I was like, okay. You know, 'cause it was using like onomatopoeia and that type of shit. I was like, that actually is like, that was doing the sort of punching in different sort of things at different times. That was doing that kind of an interesting way for one verse. That's the one positive thing I have to say. This beat was great and that verse was kind of interesting. He still wasn't saying anything actually interesting, but just the way it was delivered was very interesting.
Number 8, New Wave. We have to do it. The overused Beastie Boys new style fucking sample. What new style? What new flavor? This is all rehashed shit. I liked the beat, and that was it.
I'm already tired of the, hey guys, we're doing it the old school. Shut up.
Just fucking do it. You don't need to fucking say it, dude.
Exactly. It wants points so bad for doing what you assume someone who's, you know, the assumption is if you do old school stuff, that automatically gets you cool points. So look, we did the old school thing. We've used old school samples. This is like, I'm sorry, that doesn't just automatically get you points. This is exactly what mediocre-ass will.i.am trying to be respected underground rapper. This is what you sounded like 20 years ago, and 20 years on, you still sound like someone who's not trying that hard, but still wants the props for doing so, because you used big words every now and then. They are the definition of the underground rapper who's just throwing in big words to sound fancy.
Only a few weeks ago, we talked about Young Sinatra 4. A love letter to old school hip hop. And I don't think he ever, well, I'm sure he did at least once or twice, but I don't think it was as obviously reaching as this album, where like he wasn't like desperately grabbing for clout points as fucking will.i.am is here.
He got Wu-Tang Clan on that one track, and that was incredible. The Nas song on here fucking pales in comparison.
Oh yeah, no, you can fucking keep that Nas song. I never want to hear that again. Big Love was an okay one, I thought.
It was, they were trying to do Where's the Love again.
It was a 2018 sequel. Yeah, pretty much.
Because their other remix to it didn't pop off. Remember that? Remember they tried to do the Where is the Love 2.0 or whatever the fuck?
Oh my god, I forgot about it until just now.
See, we forgot. They've actually been trying to do this old school kick for like the last 2.5 years.
Man, do you remember when fucking will.i.am did that goddamn Yes We Can song for Obama? Mm-hmm. will.i.am is just the king of trying to get his fucking face out there.
Oh, he just wants the points for being progressive without actually doing any of the, without actually making good music or saying anything that actually matters.
Now here's the shocker. I came up with a 3 again.
I can't, this one was a 2.
I don't know how. Neither album were necessarily impressive or lasting or memorable.
They aren't even average. They're not average albums. They are most definitely below average.
Both albums came out to 2 point, and I had to round them up to 3. But just fucking take that for what it's worth. Neither album, honestly, dude, just don't waste your time. And this is only volume 1?
Oh no!
Of this Black Eyed Peas bullshit?
All these fucking part 1, part 2, part 3 things. Oh, and everything's spelled in caps like they're fucking Tyler the Creator out this bitch. Get out of here.
Get fucking Brockhampton. Get the fuck out of here. We are never seeing a part 2 to this. This is dog shit, trying so fucking hard. And it's like, again, like the production is fine. Like, I wish will.i.am, we fucking talked about it on the show before. I love the beats that will.i.am makes for other people. He is a fine producer. He doesn't have shit to say.
No, it's all this, yeah, we're giving you the ill funk stuff and the, oh my god, I'm on that hip hop grown shit. EMC squared means I'm on the microphone shit. Dead with mumble rap, Attack of the Clone. I'm with the Jedi, I'm in that ziggy zone.
Any fucking reference to your, Smells Like Funk. Did you catch that?
Yeah.
He couldn't help himself.
Oh, and he's creeping like a zone creeper. What the fuck does that mean? What's a zone creeper? I glow like an illuminator. Oh, you glow like a thing that lights
that glows.
up. Incredible, Will I Am. Fucking incredible.
Go away for another 8 years. Well, folks, that about wraps it up for this week's episode of the Going Off Podcast. Thank you very much for checking us out. If this is your first time listening to us, all of our old episodes are on iTunes and SoundCloud. Just search Going Off Podcast. It's GOIN_off podcast. Follow us on Twitter, subscribe to us on YouTube, check us out on Patreon if you have a Patreon album request you'd like to make. And until next week, for the Going Off Podcast, I'm Muse.
And I'm Rap Critic, and keep on creeping like zone creepers, people, because that's a thing that exists. That is definitely a thing.
Boo!
Fucking look it up before I find out there's some, like, cult classic fucking movie called Zone Creeper I don't know about.
Will.i.am has one up on you, yeah.